You might think the end of a relationship with a narcissist is marked by a loud argument, but it's actually marked by a terrifying silence. It's that moment when you look at them and feel nothing. No anger, no heat, just a cold clarity. They feel it too. They sense the exact second the leash snaps. Today, we're peeling back the curtain on the moment their greatest fear becomes your ultimate freedom. There's a specific look in their eyes when the realization finally hits home. It's not the look of a person losing a partner, it's the look of a person losing their power. For years, you've been the one walking on eggshells, trying to fix what they kept breaking. But suddenly, the floor is steady under your feet. You aren't trying anymore. You've checked out. And for a narcissist, your indifference is far more lethal than your rage. Think back to all those nights you spent crying, wondering why you weren't enough. You gave everything until you were a shell of your former self. You thought love could bridge the gap, but you were trying to build a bridge to a person who doesn't exist. Now that fire has gone out. The supply has dried up. You've reached the point where their drama no longer moves the needle. You are finally truly done with the games. It's a strange, quiet grief when you realize the person you loved was a collection of masks. But in that grief, there is a seed of something indestructible. You've stopped seeking validation from the person who was committed to misunderstanding you. They see this shift in your posture, in the way you answer their texts with one word instead of a paragraph. They feel the temperature in the room drop because you've taken your warmth back. A narcissist survives on the emotional reaction you provide. Whether it's love or hate, they need you to be plugged in to their matrix. When you stop loving them, you effectively pull the plug. The lights go out on their performance. They are left standing on an empty stage with no audience to applaud or argue. It's the one scenario they never truly prepared for because they never believed you'd actually have the strength to leave. I want you to sit with that for a moment. You've been told for so long that you are the weak one, the one who couldn't survive without them. But look at the reality. You are the one who has found peace in the absence of their chaos. They are the ones who are beginning to panic. Their survival depends on your attention, and you finally realize that your attention is a precious resource that they no longer deserve to consume for free. This isn't just about a breakup, it's about the collapse of a false reality. For a long time, you were the lead supporting actor in their internal movie. But you've walked off the set. You've realized the script was rigged and the director was a ghost. When they see you looking at them with calm, detached eyes, they realize their magic spells have stopped working. The manipulation is visible now. The magician's trick has been revealed. Have you noticed how they've started acting out lately? Maybe it's a sudden burst of kindness or a bizarre, unprovoked attack. These are not random events. They are tests. They are trying to see if they can still provoke a heartbeat out of your deadened emotions. They are poking the embers, desperate for a spark. But there is no wood left to burn. You've taken your fuel and walked away. And that, my friend, is where the real story begins. You've been through the fire, and you've come out on the other side with a clarity that most people will never understand. This is the secret knowledge of the survivor. It's the realization that you were never the problem. You were just the solution they used to fix their own brokenness. Now that you've withdrawn that solution, they are forced to face themselves. It's a heavy, analytical moment of truth that they will do anything to avoid. In this video, we are going to walk through the 5 specific, calculated phases a narcissist goes through when they realize you are truly gone. This isn't speculation, it's a psychological blueprint of their collapse. By understanding what's coming, you can protect your peace and ensure you never get sucked back into the void. You've taken the first step by choosing yourself. Now, let's look at exactly how they will try to stop you. To understand why they react so violently to your indifference, you have to understand what you were to them. You weren't a partner. You were a mirror. You were the external battery that kept their fragile ego from collapsing into the abyss of their own self-loathing. When you stop loving them, the mirror goes dark. Suddenly, they are forced to look at themselves without your light, and that is a sight they simply cannot endure. A narcissist's entire identity is built on a foundation of sand. They require constant, external validation to feel real. Without your love, they start to experience what psychologists call narcissistic injury. It's an ego wound so deep that it triggers a primal survival instinct. To them, your lack of love isn't a personal choice, it's an act of aggression. They feel like you are intentionally starving them of the air they need to breathe. Think of it like this. They are a parasite that has finally been detached from the host. They haven't learned how to hunt for themselves. They don't know how to generate their own self-worth. So, when you stop providing that constant stream of affection and forgiveness, they enter a state of internal chaos. Their internal world is a dark, cold place, and for years, you were the only thing keeping the heaters running in that empty house. They will never admit this, of course. To the outside world, they will remain the victim or the hero. But internally, they are spiraling. They look at you and see a stranger. They can't understand how the person they once controlled so easily is now completely immune to their tactics. It's a blow to their sense of omnipotence. If they can't control you, then who are they? This existential crisis is the engine behind their next move. You might see them try to intellectualize the situation. They might tell you that you're the one who is cold, or that you've changed for the worse. This is a desperate attempt to regain the narrative. They need to believe that your lack of love is a flaw in you, not a consequence of them. Because if it's a consequence of their behavior, then they would have to take responsibility. And as we know, a narcissist would rather burn the world down. Their psychology is a closed loop. They move from idealization to devaluation, but when you reach the point of discarding them emotionally, you break the cycle. This creates a psychological vacuum. They are left with all this stored-up manipulation and nowhere to put it. It's like a computer program that has encountered a fatal error. They will try to reboot the relationship by looping back to the beginning, but the code is broken. You were their emotional safety net. When they felt small, they made you feel smaller so they could feel big again. When they felt guilty, they projected that guilt onto you until you apologized for things you didn't do. Now that you've stopped accepting those projections, the weight is falling back onto them. It's heavy. It's suffocating. And since they have no tools to process it, they will project it back with twice the force. It's important to realize that their love was always a transaction. They didn't love you for who you are. They loved you for how you made them feel about themselves. So, when that feeling stops, their love for you evaporates instantly. This is why it feels so cold. You're mourning a soul-deep connection while they are just complaining about a broken appliance. That realization is brutal, but it's the truth that sets you free. They are masters of the short game. They know how to charm, how to lie, and how to manipulate in the moment. But your indifference is a long-game move. It's a steady, unwavering boundary that they cannot bypass with a single grand gesture. They are staring at a wall they can't climb over, and for the first time in their lives, they feel truly small. This is where the mask starts to slip in ways you've never seen before. Behind the arrogance and the anger is a terrified child who is deathly afraid of being found out. Your lack of love is the ultimate exposure. It says, "I see you for what you really are, and I am no longer interested." That is the narcissist's nightmare. They would rather be hated than ignored. At least hate is an emotion. At least hate means you still care. But indifference? Indifference is the sound of the door finally locking from the outside. When the realization hits that your heart has truly closed, the narcissist enters a phase of psychological desperation. It's a frantic, messy scramble for control. At first, they might try to charm you back with the same old tricks that worked 1,000 times before. They'll cry, they'll apologize, they'll promise the moon. But this time, it feels different to you. It feels like watching a bad actor forget their lines in a play. This is the extinction burst. It's a term from behavioral psychology. When a behavior no longer produces the expected result, the person will briefly increase the intensity of that behavior before giving up. Like a person hitting a vending machine that won't give them their snack, the narcissist will pound on your emotional walls. They will scream, they will beg, they will threaten. They are waiting for any sign that the machine still works. If the nice act fails, the shift happens almost instantly. The hoovering turns into a scorched-earth policy. They realize that if they can't have your love, they must have your fear. This is the turning point where the person you thought you knew disappears entirely. The rage that comes out of them isn't just anger, it's a calculated attempt to break your resolve. They want to see you cry. They want to see you fight back. Anything but silence. You might find them bringing up ancient history, things you did years ago that they supposedly forgave. They are digging for any leverage, any old wound they can salt. They want to distract you from the present reality. They want to drag you back down into the mud where they are the masters. But you're standing on high ground now. You're looking down at the chaos and realizing you don't have to participate in the fight anymore. This is often when the flying monkeys appear. These are the friends, family members, or acquaintances the narcissist has manipulated into doing their dirty work. You'll get well-meaning texts asking why you're being so hard on them. The narcissist is building a fence around you, trying to use social pressure to force you back into line. They are desperate to prove to the world that you are the crazy one who just walked away. Watch their social media during this time. It will either be a display of profound, performative sadness or an immediate, forced display of perfect happiness with someone new. Both are messages intended for you. They are trying to provoke a reaction. If you're sad, they win. If you're jealous, they win. They are casting lines into the water, hoping you'll bite. But you've realized that the bait is empty. There is no hook that can hold you. There's a strange power in watching someone try to manipulate you when you already know the script. You can almost count down to their next move. Now they'll try the guilt trip, and there it is. This detachment is your greatest shield. It turns their psychological warfare into a pathetic display of insecurity. You aren't being mean, you're just being honest. And honesty is the one thing a narcissist's ego cannot survive. As they realize the extinction burst isn't working, the desperation takes a darker turn. They might start making vague threats about their own well-being or yours. This is the ultimate pull the fire alarm move. They want to create a crisis that you are forced to respond to. It's a cruel, cynical use of your empathy. But you have to remember, you cannot set yourself on fire to keep someone else warm. Their crisis is not your responsibility. The turning point is complete when you realize that you don't need to explain yourself anymore. You don't need to win the argument. You don't even need them to understand why you're leaving. You just need to leave. The narcissist is fighting for control. You are fighting for your life. And once you realize those two things are mutually exclusive, the choice becomes very simple. You choose life. You choose your own sanity over their ego. They will try to make the exit as painful as possible. They will try to leave you with a parting gift of shame or regret. But as you walk away, you'll notice something incredible. The weight they tried to put on your shoulders doesn't belong to you. It never did. You can just drop it. You can just let it fall into the dirt and keep walking. Behind you, the narcissist is still screaming at the vending machine, but you're already miles down the road. There is a specific kind of darkness that emerges when a narcissist realizes their supply has been cut off at the source. It's not sadness, it's an existential threat. Since they have no internal sense of worth, your lack of love feels like you are literally erasing them from existence. This is when the mask doesn't just slip, it shatters into 1,000 jagged pieces. You are no longer the beloved, you are now the enemy. The smear campaign is the primary consequence of your emotional departure. Since they can no longer control how you see them, they will try to control how everyone else sees you. They will lie, distort, and omit. They will paint you as the abuser, the cheater, or the one who lost their mind. This is a defensive maneuver. They need to create a version of the story where they are the victim so they don't have to face their own failures. It's a lonely experience to watch people you once trusted believe the narcissist's lies. But this is also a time of profound pruning. You are seeing who truly knows your heart and who is easily swayed by a polished performance. The consequences of the narcissist's collapse will ripple through your entire social circle. It's painful, yes, but it's also a necessary clearing of the ground. You are discovering who is real and who is just an extra. Internally, the narcissist is undergoing what we call decompensation. This is the breakdown of their psychological defense mechanisms. They might become increasingly paranoid, erratic, or prone to substance abuse. Without your steadying influence, the hidden chaos of their inner world begins to leak out into their public life. People will start to see the cracks. The perfect life they've curated will start to look a little bit frayed at the edges. Another common consequence is the rebound discard. They will find someone new, sometimes within days, and flaunt them as if they are the love of their life. This is not because they've moved on, it's because they need a new host immediately. They are trying to punish you by showing you how replaceable you are. But if you look closely, you'll see the pattern repeating already. They are just beginning the same cycle with a new victim. You have to understand that their life is a series of restarts. They never actually build anything. They just renovate the facade. The consequence of losing your love is that they have to start the renovation process all over again. It's exhausting, but it's the only way they know how to live. While you are doing the hard work of healing and growing, they are just looking for a new mask that fits. They are running in place while you are moving forward. They might also try to rewrite the history of your entire relationship. They'll tell themselves that they never really loved you anyway, or that you were just a placeholder. This is a way for them to protect their ego from the sting of rejection. If you didn't matter, then losing you doesn't hurt. It's a lie they tell themselves to keep the darkness at bay. But deep down, in the quiet moments they can't escape, they know the truth. The ultimate consequence for the narcissist is the loss of the best version of themselves. When they were with you, they could pretend to be the person you believed they were. They borrowed your empathy, your kindness, and your integrity. Now that you're gone, they have no one to mirror. They are left with only their own shallow traits. They've lost the only thing that made them feel like a good person, your belief in their potential. You might feel a lingering sense of guilt, wondering if you should have stayed to help them through this collapse. But you have to realize that their collapse was inevitable. It's the natural result of a life built on manipulation and self-deception. You weren't the cause of their downfall. You were just the only thing holding up a crumbling building. Letting go wasn't an act of cruelty, it was an act of self-preservation. As the dust settles, you'll see the narcissist for what they truly are, a person who is perpetually hungry but can never be full. Your love was a feast, but they could only taste the salt. The consequence of their behavior is a life of deep, fundamental loneliness. They will surround themselves with people, but they will never be known. They will have fans, but they will never have friends. That is the heavy, silent price of their pathology. So, where does this leave you? It leaves you in the most powerful position you've ever occupied. The moment you stopped loving them was the moment you started loving yourself again. It's a quiet, steady kind of power that doesn't need to shout to be heard. You've stopped participating in their chaotic theater, and you've finally walked out of the auditorium. The air out here is different, isn't it? It's fresh. It's yours. Healing isn't a straight line. Some days you'll feel like a warrior, and other days you'll feel like you're back in that dark room, waiting for a text that will never come. That's okay. The difference is that now you know the truth. You know that the person you're missing was a projection. You're not missing a soulmate, you're missing a habit. And habits can be broken. You are rewiring your brain for peace instead of adrenaline. You might worry that you've been damaged forever, that you'll never trust again, or that you've lost your capacity for love. But I want to tell you something. Your empathy is not broken. It was just misdirected. You have so much love to give, and now you finally have the wisdom to give it to someone who can actually hold it, including yourself. Especially yourself. Your brokenness is actually the light getting in. Think about all the energy you used to spend trying to decode their behavior. All those hours analyzing their words, their tone, their silences. Imagine what you can do with all that energy now. You can build a business. You can learn a language. You can simply sit in a garden and feel the sun on your face without wondering if you're allowed to be happy. You've been given your life back. Don't waste a second of it looking back. The final truth is this. You were never a victim because you were weak. You were a target because you were strong. They chose you because of your light, your resilience, and your ability to see the best in people. They wanted what you had. They tried to steal it, but they found out that your light is built in. It doesn't come from them, so they can't take it away. You still have everything that makes you beautiful. When you look back on this period of your life, you won't see it as a tragedy. You'll see it as your great awakening. You'll see the moment you realize that you are the architect of your own joy. The narcissist was just a detour, a painful, exhausting detour, but one that taught you exactly who you are and what you will never tolerate again. You've graduated from the school of hard truths, and your diploma is your freedom. Don't wait for an apology. You will never get one that is sincere. A narcissist cannot apologize because they cannot accept that they did anything wrong. Their sorry is just another tool to get what they want. Your closure doesn't come from their words. It comes from your own actions. It comes from the day you realize you haven't thought about them in 24 hours. That is the only apology that actually matters. You are walking into a new season of your life. One where your boundaries are firm and your peace is non-negotiable. You've learned how to spot the red flags before they turn into scars. You've learned that no is a complete sentence. And most importantly, you've learned that your love is a gift, not a debt. You don't owe it to anyone who doesn't treat it with the absolute reverence it deserves. You are finally home. Take a deep breath. Feel the stillness. The narcissist's voice is getting quieter and quieter, fading into the background of a story you've already finished reading. You are the author now. You get to decide what happens in the next chapter. And let me tell you, it's going to be beautiful. You are moving toward a version of yourself that is wiser, kinder, and completely untouchable. You've earned this peace. Now, go live in it. The ultimate revenge against a narcissist isn't shouting at them or exposing them. It's living a life so full and so happy that you eventually forget they were ever a part of it. Your indifference was the beginning of your freedom, and your happiness will be the final word. You've finally realized the most important secret of all. They didn't break you. They just broke the illusions that were keeping you from becoming who you were meant to be. You might think the end of a relationship with a narcissist is marked by a loud argument, but it's actually marked by a terrifying silence.